Hi everyone, my name is Wael. I'm a native cloud engineer and associate architect in SAP Center of Excellence team. I'm excited to share our experience in our team with Unleash in SAP and how we build a custom feature management layer on top of the open source version from Unleash. So we wanted actually to extend Unleash's capabilities to meet the complex needs of our environments. And today, I will walk you through the journey we took and the decision we made and the benchmarks we evaluated. So at the beginning, let's talk a little bit about our business goals from this. So the main business goal in our use case, we need to separate the deployment from the release. So to control the risk, we need to deploy the code without immediately releasing the feature. Also, we need to coordinate releases across microservices for very complex business functionalities. Also, in our CI/CD, we need a faster development while maintaining the stability and by deploying the incomplete features. So we need to control this through the feature toggles. And we need a way to quick rollbacks in case there is any issues or any crashes or outages. Also, we need to gradually roll out features like canary releases to minimize the risk. Also, here we can see the main KPIs. So we drove by performance indicators and implementations, and we need to focus on the performance on the top of our KPIs. So we need a mechanisms like caching in memory or something like that. So this is the main KPI, and we need to be always high available and scalable at the same time. We should be resilient. We need some customizations on the payloads for the users and the tenant levels. We need to evaluating the toggles on the client side for any sensitive data. So we do not need to save any user IDs or any private data on the side of the feature toggle. We need also to think about the extensibility. Also, we need to monitor actually the toggles. So this is our when we choose our solution, we have an essential requirement. So again, we need to split the deployment process from the release, easy to use interface and integration with the SDK. We need to support the languages, especially the Golang, because we work on the native cloud environment and we build the controllers for Kubernetes and all these native stuff in the Kubernetes. So we're using the Golang, and so we need to be integrated with this language. Also, we need the alloc mechanism. I will talk later about this. Alloc feature toggle state mechanism to handle all the CI/CD releases and make sure that we do not override the state when something happens and we change the state of the toggle. So how we start all this journey to choose the solution that we need. So we start with a benchmark to comparison all the vendors on the market. So as you see here on the table, we chose the top 4 vendors on the market, and we say, okay, this is the list of the features, and let's see who support this and who not. And as you see, we have compare the basic features, the advanced targeting, the multi-environment, and all this stuff. So we start with this benchmark comparison. Then we take a look on the pricing at the second phase. And I should say that SAP always prefer to start with the open source. So when we take a look on here and we take a look on the pricing, Unleash here stand out with its open source model. And also when we take a look on the enterprise price, it makes sense when we compare it with the other prices on the different tiers and plans from other vendors. Also here at the end, after we see all the features, we compare the prices, we say, okay, let's build our own scoring table and see what the top priority here. So at that time, the top priority is the price. So because we prefer the open source, so the price is the top one. And we see that there is some of the vendors very, very expensive. And we say, okay, the feature flags features should be supported here. Also, the caching mechanism and the performance indicator and all these things, it's very, very important. The advanced strategies, if we need advanced strategy for the feature toggle or any customization, or we need to extend. So it's important for us. But you can see the scoring, it's a little bit not 10, but it's still one of the important things. And also, for example, the lifecycle management and all these stuff. Here you can see our own architecture. So we work on the cloud native architecture. So we leverage the Kubernetes custom resources to manage our feature toggle. If someone asking why, so in our case, it's a little bit complicated, and it's one of our requirements to have an evidence all the time who create this toggle, which one, when, related to which user case, and all this stuff. So we built our own layer on top of the Unleash server using the cloud native Kubernetes custom resources. And we have our controller called FTS controller. And when we apply this feature toggle CR, we reconcile it by the feature toggle controller, and we talked through the admin APIs with the Unleash server. Also, we have the SDK used in all our components to talk with the Unleash server as well. Here we can see one of the flow of our design time, let's say. So in the design time, you can see that we apply the custom resource, and we have some validations on our Kubernetes cluster on these, let's say, important fields we add on the resource. Like, for example, we have a versioning, we have the creator of this toggle. There is some more fields here. So if it's valid, we apply it, and in the world of the Kubernetes, of course, we have it on the etcd database. So if it exists, if it's not exist, we create it. If it exists, we update it, and then we prepare the payload on the controller, and we apply, create it or update it on the Unleash through the admin API, the Unleash admin API, and we save it on the database of the Unleash. And I can mention something here that Also, one of the good things we have here, that one of our requirements that the database should be a managed service. So we create a RDS Postgres database on AWS, and we replace the local Postgres with that managed service. And it's very easy to configure it actually on Unleash to choose that service, RDS service on AWS. Here we have the runtime. So when we have the vendor SDK library, so we use the vendor cache. It's called Bootstrap and on Unleash. So and we have the refresh interval and all this stuff. It's something on the core of the SDK from Unleash. But of course, we add some customizations, and we wrap the SDK with some customizations. I will mention this later. Also here, quick, the delete flow. Also, if we delete a resource from the database, from the Kubernetes, so we, of course, we update the etcd and we reconcile, and after that we use the API to delete it from the database, the Unleashed database. For example, here, one of the examples of our special cases, we need to lock the feature toggle state. So if I have, for example, now an outage, so the first thing I want to do, I want to log into my cluster directly and switch off the toggle. And because of our CI/CD process, I don't want to have any apply for this feature toggle resource and override the state of the toggle. So it's switched off now. If any CI/CD run now with a state of true, and it's this will turn on again the toggle. So when we have any outage, we have a mechanism to lock the feature toggle by using another custom resource called feature toggle lock. So I can say what the name of the toggle, on which namespace, and this will add this resource as a lock for this feature toggle. So if a CI/CD now started, we will check first if there is a feature toggle lock resource exists for this toggle, so we will not override it. And we have also on the feature toggle resource, we have a version, so we do not also update the version on that resource. So we support not reversible feature flags states. Here we have, for example, I mentioned the advanced strategies and the extensibility for the solution we choose. So one of our cases that we have a requirement to add a strategy for to have allowed list and denied list for some domains. So let's say I want to allow on the fly if I have any request from, let's say, a specific domain like sap.com. So I will allow this domain to see the feature. If some of the denied domains, I need to hide this feature. So as you see here, we have a resource for feature toggle, and we have the description, the namespace where I want to apply it. And the feature toggle configuration, it's the where we define the strategy. So we say that it's enabled. So this is the state of the toggle. We have the strategy, we say the default strategy, and we define the allowed list. So allowed 1, allowed 2. And I should say it's very, very easy to enhance the default strategy with attributes, additional attributes on the Unleash. So we use custom attributes to add allowed list and denied list, and we define these props and using the stickiness with the uniqueness ID and all this stuff. We have also one of the main policies here on SAP. If we use any credentials or any tokens, we should rotate these tokens, and we should make sure that we renew it every X weeks, a predefined, let's say, number of weeks or days or months. So as I mentioned, we're using the APIs, Unleash admin APIs. We're using the client SDK. So we have the tokens, the admin tokens and the client token, but we can't use these static tokens the same all the time. So we wrap the SDK to add the mechanism to rotate the tokens. So we use again the APIs, the admin APIs, to regenerate these tokens and make sure that it's not expired, and we rotate and renew these tokens all the time. And also we re-inject the new token on the client SDK and make sure it's refreshed with the new token as well. So this is the flow. I will not make it complex here. So we add like a watcher. We have a watching. We add a volume for this token on the container itself, on the pod, and we have a watching mechanism that we watch this file all the time. And you can see we have a Unleash credential resource for this token. And of course, when it's expired, we should renew it. So we watch the file and we renew it and update the tokens on the database of the Unleash, of course. Here I have the monitoring. We built our own custom monitoring dashboard. So you can see here the component name, the name of the toggle, and we have different landscapes. For example, hotfix and live, it's identical. So I want to make sure that the toggles states on both of them is the same. So when we see valid, so that means the live and hotfix the same. We have canary and integrate, and you can see it's red. So it's not valid. So we know that there is some feature toggles here not the same like a canary. We have the lock toggles. We can see which one is locked and what the duration. And here we can see all the states of the toggles based on each landscape. It's like a matrix, the component with the landscape, and we know what exactly the state here. At the end, the outcome from all of this, now we have faster releases, so we deploy the code more frequently and more confidence, of course, because we have the way to handle and control the risks. And also, if there is any incomplete features, we can keep the feature toggle switched off until we publish and deploy the rest of the code or something or configurations. I said that it's safer deployment, so we can handle all the risks and control all the risks. And we have now a way to roll out, to roll back from any changes. Also, the personalized experience. So we targeted, we say, we have gradual releases, or maybe the allowed list and denied list. So we can choose a segment, specific segment, user segments, and enhancing the satisfaction. And also we can take the right feedbacks at the end. That's it. Thank you for listening, and that's it.
So we're getting ready for the Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please submit them into the question section now. And Wael is joining us. Hi, Wael. Thank you so much for the presentation, and please remember to unmute yourself. You're currently on mute, so we don't have the embarrassing start to speak without audio.
Hi, you heard me.
So it's fantastic listening to all the things that you have done around Unleash. And one thing I was thinking about, so you mentioned that you have this lockdown mechanism where you kind of disable changes to a flag. And you mentioned this one use case of doing that during kind of when you discover errors and stuff. Are there other cases or other scenarios where you would lock down feature flags from being modified?
In some cases, when we, I can't say talk about all the flow. So when we face any outages or anything on the cluster, first of all, we going direct to our UI dashboard where you the last slide, if you remember that slide, we see which toggle it's enabled. The last one it's enabled. So it's the first option that we wanna see. If we switched off this toggle, this outage will go or we will fix the issue. So if yes, if we see that yes, we push a code and after we enable that toggle, we see something happen wrong there. So because we choose this way to enable and disable and update the toggles, the way we using the YAMLs and all these custom resources on Kubernetes, we have all these source of truth, let's say, YAMLs inside the repository on the GitHub. So each time we push a new code or a feature or something, we start a new CI/CD pipeline run. So we will take the latest YAMLs inside these GitHub's repositories, and we will take it again to the clusters. So for each cluster, we have its own folder where we save these feature toggle YAMLs. And if at that moment I change the state to switch, if I switch off one of the toggles where the outage happened now, so at that moment, if a CI/CD come with that one, the YAML on the repository, it will override the state again and it turn it on. So this can happen a lot. So we think to do something like a lock mechanism. Then I hear there is a lock mechanism on the enterprise version of Unleash. So so we reinvent the wheel and we add this lock mechanism for this specific scenario. So we switch off, we lock, and of course we have some Jenkins jobs that make our life easy to do all this. We do not do all of these things manually on the cluster. We have some Jenkins jobs we configured to do these things. So now, if the CI/CD now arrived to this cluster, we have we check if it's locked or not, and we continue from there. So this helps us a lot to keep the state of the toggle. And because we do not have actually a central Unleash for all these clusters, so we have Unleash server for each cluster, it's difficult to use some native, let's say, feature to handle it on all clusters. So in each cluster we have a server Unleash with its own RDS database on the Amazon cloud, and we manage it on the cluster level, and we lock it on that cluster for that toggle. We do not lock all the toggles. We just lock one.
Exactly.
That toggle. Yeah.
Fascinating. So we have one question from the audience as well, and the question is around, can you elaborate a bit on the business benefits that SAP is gaining from you kind of separating deploying code from releases in your architecture?
Yes, of course. So as I mentioned before, there is some requirements should be, and we need to do that because it's our own company policies that each time we turn on a toggle or turn off a toggle, we need something like an evidence. So to say, for which PLI or business user case this related, who did that, and there is some properties there. So when we separate the deployment from the release, okay, I'm okay to deploy the code on the live, but when I turn it on, I should have an evidence who did that. So okay, so it's like auditing for these toggles to say, okay, this enabled by this one related to this user story, and to have this evidence. So we can control the risk here when we separate the deployment from the release. So I don't want to enable it directly when I push the that feature, or maybe it's not a complete feature, of course. So
exactly.
maybe so I push part of it, and I want to, after I push the rest of the configurations or code or something, I want to enable it after that. So this is plus minus the main requirement we have for that.
Do you also require approvals, like not only just documenting who changed the flag, but also that who can approve this change, like 4eyes approvals or similar things?
Exactly. So, for example, the locking mechanism, or if you want to disable or enable on the live clusters, there is a permissions you need to have to do that. Actually,
Cool. Thank you so much. I think we will head over for a small break before the next presentation, but it was fantastic to hear how you customized and bend Unleash to your unique requirements. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.